Welcome everyone. We're here at the TESOL Media Lounge. I'm your host, Andrea Cano. We're in beautiful California, Long Beach, California. And on today's episode, we have Brent Warner with TESOL. Thank you for being here today. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing good, thank you.
Well, you said you're a native Californian, and I am from Texas, and I just love this weather. I wish it could be like this in Texas all the time.
It is almost like this all the time. I mean, we had a couple rainy days just leading up to this, but most of the time it's great.
My Uber driver actually said you guys cleared the weather for all of us to come in.
Thank you,
Yeah,
thank you.
So thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate it. Well, can you tell us a little bit about your why and who you are?
Yeah, I am a professor at a community college here in Southern California. So I teach at Irvine Valley College. And I guess my why is that, learning languages can open so many opportunities for people, like whether it be, hey, I just want to travel around the world and English will help me get around those places. Or, in my case, I've got students who have moved to America and they're trying to start their new lives. And so just the ability to talk to their children's teachers, for example, or get a job or whatever those things are, that changes the quality of their lives. And so when we kind of have the opportunity to help on that process, it's very fulfilling and rewarding, which I think is kind of standard for pretty much everyone at TESOL,
Yes.
but yeah.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing currently teaching and your position, and then what your connection is to TESOL?
Yeah, so I am teaching a couple of classes right now. So I teach an academic writing class, I teach a non-credit conversation class, and with TESOL, I do blogging, so edtech blogging, so technology integration stuff. And then I really try to explore different ways that we can use technology to help our students do even a little bit more and become more autonomous, in the ways that they're studying. Because so many times students study something in class, and then as soon as they leave the classroom, it's like done, right? And then nothing more happens until the next time they come back to class. But I think with technology, and this is what I try to share with through all these things, is you can use these things to extend and expand your opportunities.
Awesome. So can you tell me a little bit, I'm just interested about that conversational class. Like, what does that entail? Because I might need it. No.
Yeah. So we work on conversation skills. And so, better ways to interact, understanding how American culture works in terms of having the conversations. Some cultures might speak in ways that in their culture is fine, but in America it might come across as curt, for example. And so we talk about kind of softening language when it's appropriate in the right times. And then the way that I run my class is we actually make podcasts. So all the students record themselves having conversations with each other. So they get on, the microphones and they do their own podcasting studio kind of thing. And so we kind of bring some of that technology into it where they're getting opportunities to play, record themselves, and then share out with each other as well.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Now, you also, I was told you created an ELT toolkit.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that, the development of it, and what it is?
Yeah, so the ELT Toolkit is it's kind of a guide for any teacher who likes the idea of technology integration, but doesn't always have the time to research, or they're like, there's too many things coming out, I can't keep on top of it. And so, people do spend hours and hours just researching, and does this work for me or does it not? I've spent my entire career working with all of those things. And so what it is kind of me introducing a bunch of tools. There's more than 100 tools in there right now, kind of helping people say, okay, this is what it does. This is what it's for. Here's a couple of ideas how you might use it in your classroom. And if that can save people a few hours a semester, that's wonderful. That's kind of the goal, is to get people lower their stress with technology, right? And I know technology can build up anxiety, but in this case, we're trying to say, hey, let's look at the ways to positively use it to make things easier for you, for your students. And then the other thing is, students are kind of expecting that these days, right? They have a totally different set of expectations. So when you walk in with an old-fashioned, pencil and worksheets, it's like, okay, these are fine in some settings, but also we need to be able to mix it up. And so helping teachers get through those steps is part of the goal.
So you mentioned the over 100 digital platforms that you have in this. What are some of those platforms? Just maybe one or two that you
Sure. So they kind of run the gamut. They go all over the place. But for example, one is like Moat. So that is, if you use Google Docs, for example, you can click into it and you can leave voice messages for your students directly in there. So they can just listen and read what they're working on at the same time. And one of the things when you're speaking is your tone comes across a lot different than when you've written, right? You know, why did you write this?
Yes.
As compared to, why did you write this? It's like,
Yeah.
and they can feel that difference inside of there. So Moat is a tool that can help with that. And then we looked at a couple ways to, integrate that into language learning classes. Some of them are, ed tech companies. Some of them are made by teachers just to help out other teachers. Some of them are open source. I try to go as much as possible to saving money.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, because we can end up spending so much money, right? And so it's like, how do we bring the price down for as many people as possible? What are some alternatives? Maybe your school already has a similar option. And so take a look at these possible choices. And so those are, kind of some of the approaches that we're going for.
Awesome. And how do you, well, I mean, I can see how this would help some of these ESL teachers or teachers in general, any teacher really. What are some other ways, some practical ways that you think it's going to help them using the toolkit?
Yeah, I think that one will be really connecting with the students. I think that's just going to be a big one for them, meeting the students where they are. And, a lot of times I find that when I just play with these things a little bit and then introduce them to my students, they take off.
Yeah,
right?
they go off with it.
And then they'll come back a week later and they're like, I found out how to do this. And I'm like, I didn't even know any of those things existed. But again, that's that empowering the students to take control of their own language learning journey, where it's not just like, oh, teacher, you have to do everything for me. It's like, no, let's take a look at ways that you can do this. And then when students see that, then they have more trust in you and they believe that you're trying to really help them out through their process. And so just that side of things alone, you can build stronger relationships with your students because you're helping them in more ways than just, what's your grade? Did you get this right or wrong? But like actually saying, let's go on this journey together.
And engaging them and all that. And I think when teachers are honest and say, look, I really don't know, but let's try it together and let's figure it out. Then they're like, oh, let me help you too. And they really do, like you said, they own the learning and they kind of help us through it and make things easier for all of us.
Oh, big time. We talk about that in my class. We say that we talk about the class as a lab, right? We say there's a laboratory, you can make mistakes. The goal here is not to be perfect. The goal here is to make progress, right? And so once they kind of understand that I'm actually serious about that, which, because not all teachers, some teachers say that and they're not really serious, but it's like, no, let's make this all low stakes. Let's make this a building adventure, right? And once they see that, then the changes really start happening.
Awesome. So where can educators find this toolkit and how can they access it?
So it is at TESOL.org and you can look for the ELT toolkit.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I know everyone's excited to be at TESOL. Actually, before you leave, can you tell me what you love about TESOL?
Oh my gosh. I mean, all the teachers coming from all over the world who are just trying to share and help out with each other, like that is... It's just the best, right? When everybody's saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. Because I love the practical world of like, hey, what are teachers actually doing? And there's so many excellent sessions of like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do in this setting. Obviously, there's lots of people playing with AI and trying to understand that whole world. And so I think just bringing the community together of people who are really all trying to work towards the same mission is amazing.
Yeah, well, and I love that you said it brings, because it's an international conference. So we have people from all over the world, which makes TESOL special in that sense. Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And it was great talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of TESOL Media Lounge powered by Summit K-12. Remember, keep learning, stay curious y hasta la próxima, disfruta el viaje.